We are live. Thank you for joining me. This is going to be a completely spoiler-free review of the 2010 video game Limbo. So, um, the uh, the rating I figure must be the age rating for this game must be M for mature, considering some of the stuff that it shows. Uh, Certainly, this video will be rated M for mature. Fuck, this game is amazing. Okay, I think I want to start by noting some of the I'm going to address a few negative um, yeah, things I've heard about this game, because I don't necessarily 100% disagree, so I want you to know you know, why I don't think they ruined the game, and also that yes, I am 100% aware of them, and this video is not going to try to pretend like the game doesn't have some negative aspects. So one one of them I can address very briefly, very short. It won't take very long. So I'll do that one first. Yes, when I first saw the very ending of this, I didn't love it. Then I went online and read interpretations of it, and now I kind of do. But the really big thing, I guess, okay, I'll just very briefly note. So I saw that some professional critics, thought that the overall, the this is one of those games that are let's see, it's by a number of people thought of as one of the best games ever made. And yeah, I don't disagree. That is yeah, it's a game that still, shit. I guess okay. I'm starting to divert course. I'm gonna bring us back on track. Yes, so I did see that some felt that the different that they liked certain chunks of this game better than others, and I can totally understand. So certainly, something I saw. There's at least one person who said that they thought the first bit of this game worked better than later ones. I can see what they mean. I personally do think there are reasons for all the different ones. Once you've completed the game, and I hope you will play it if this is at all the kind of thing you like. Yeah, let's see. I read some stuff on the Wikipedia page for it, and there was also under interpretation. There was reception, whatever. Uh, the 13th link. You can also just go to the 13th link of the Wikipedia page. That led to an article and a comment section that suggested different interpretations that, yeah, really helped me appreciate the ending better. Including ones that help explain why the that why the different sections of the game are as different from each other as they are. I think that does bring us to so the really big criticism of this is that it is frustrating. And I want to start by noting that I do agree that it is frustrating. I would argue that it's frustrating but fair. I can never remember if I thought of something myself or if I saw someone say that. I'm not taking credit for that phrasing, just in case. But yeah, I would 100% agree. This game, significant chunk of the time, can be frustrating. I don't think I would 100% say that it's ever truly not fair. But yeah, and I'm one of those people. I don't want to be frustrated by games I play. I'm less bothered if it's something I'm watching, because at the end of the day, that's less like, a video game is a more active experience, kind of interactivity. One of the things I love most about video games is the interactivity. Yeah, I got frustrated during this. I'd probably say the last quarter, I was frustrated a lot. It's been a while since I almost forgot what it felt like to be really, really frustrated by the challenge of a game. And I'm when I determine what games I want, and want to play. In the case of the ones that are free, how much is going to frustrate me is one of the main criteria. But and I will definitely say I'm not sure I'm ever going to play this game again, but I'm so grateful that I did keep pushing through to the end. And there is this, it's summed up perfectly by one of the Steam reviews. Let's see. It's basically it names a character Bob, if that makes sense. So if you're scrolling through, or you word search Steam reviews, find the one that mentions Bob. That really perfectly sums it up. I feel bad reading it because I can't really. How do you credit? Yeah, that's not what's going to happen here. Anyway, but basically, and I think by now, I have hopefully made it clear. I am not saying that anyone is wrong for thinking this game is frustrating. So I'm going to engage with that. Because something I saw several people say was that they thought that uh, that it was inherently a negative quality, and that, dear viewer, is where I do find friction, because that's not how I see it. I'm not saying they're wrong, and I'm not saying you're wrong. If honestly, if you've already clicked away, you can't hear this, so I guess I could say whatever the fuck I want about you now. If you've already decided that you're not going to play this game, that's 100% fair. I think you're missing out, but I would not listen. If someone told me that I had to play this game and it didn't matter that I was going to get really frustrated, I'd tell them to kindly fuck off. But I don't think for one thing, that it being frustrating is accidental, like bad game design, or that something frustrating you means that there can't be value to it frustrating you. And I know a lot of people really don't want to play games. They really are not receptive to the notion that a game frustrating them can be a good thing. But I would argue that it is thematically appropriate, because this is not really about. I already mentioned I'm not going to spoil it, so I'm not gonna say why. Um, but I do think that it is yes. So one of the really big things of this is a subsection. Maybe I should do numbered lists, like Jenny Nichols. But yes, one of the things about the frustration that I saw several people independently of one another bring up was, and this is a stone cold fact, the game will trick you into fucking up, basically. And this is where I find it extremely important to note. It is, and so I'm gonna use someone else's wording here because I thought it was delightful. The game is very generous with checkpoints. If something in this game kills you, when something in this game kills you, you will, as far as I could tell, I didn't die on absolutely everything, but every single time I died, and it was a fucking lot, it was a shitload, every time I died on something in this game, I was never put back so far that I could not get back to where I was within, I think, less than 2 minutes for the very longest ones. And many of the times I was literally like pushed back by seconds. Like, that's not an exaggeration. If you don't have to take my word for it, find somebody else who's played this game, ask them. And that, I think, is honestly, I would rather more games were this frustrating if they were all also this eager to make you to let you immediately be able to continue. Yeah, wouldn't have hated being able to occasionally quick save, because and this is where I know they're doing it on purpose. If you see something that you can interact with in some way in this game, that you don't yet know exactly, you see it and you're like, I'm not going to need that. There's a chance you do. And that if you don't prepare it for whatever it is you need it for, you're going to die and you're going to be put back to before, the part where you had to do something with it in order to, which, hey, I appreciate that it doesn't. That's another thing. I was never, I'm going to say it's called soft locked by this game. I'm going to define it just in case I'm fucking remembering the wrong term. From my understanding, soft lock is when there's something preventing you from progressing, but it's not, yeah, it's not literally that like the game froze up or something, but there's something that needed to be one way and it isn't, and you can't unfuck it, and yeah, it's one of the most frustrating things to run into in a video game. Yeah. But the yeah, I think there were, wow, I should have counted. Okay, let's see. I can think of at least two times where the where I had to do one thing in order to, you know, yeah, where I had to prepare something before yes, the thing I just explained. And at least once where, because I reacted too slowly, I had to do a thing over that I found frustrating enough the first time, and where they could have provided a save point. I wonder if there's like a alpha version. Alpha in video games means something completely different than those Instagram man babies who call themselves alpha use it to mean. I think it was Jammy Dodger, incredibly talented YouTuber, who noted maybe we should treat those men as if they are alpha versions of video games. They're not quite there yet, but maybe they'll get there. I like to have hope. Yes. So I wonder if there's an alpha version of this game that has way more of those, and like someone was like, dude, we're looking at like a lawsuit. Like there's gonna be thousands of people who are like, if not for the defendant's video game, I would not have thrown my computer out the window. I think that might just about cover the yes. I think in closing about the frustration, there are countless places in this game where you will only realize that a thing is dangerous by dying on it at least once. There was at least once where I thought, oh, I know this one. And then I did the thing that the game just taught me I was supposed to, only to realize, oh, you're just fucking with me. You're trolling me. You wanted to trick me into and something happens there, and I don't think it's a bad thing. You you realize that yeah, I was thinking of putting it later in this video, but I'm putting it here because it fits with maybe I can, if you're on the fence, I hope you have a pillow, otherwise that must hurt like hell. But if you haven't decided yet, if you want this game, and but by the way, shit, I just realized I completely forgot to mention, this is not a review from memory. I finished this mere hours ago for the first time. Yes, I know, finally, fucking. But the yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. Like I play games much older than this, so I don't know if I'm the best person to ask. But like it ran smoothly, I can say that, and it still does look really, really good. In part for reasons I'll get into. But yes, in case you've still not decided whether or not to play this today or tomorrow, there's time. And one of the big things is the frustration. What being tricked by the game, what dying repeatedly does, is that it makes you feel in part like the character really is an extension of you, because like, after a certain point, like I've seen some joke that, oh, it's like it simulates how you're gonna kill this character over and over, which is funny. I chuckle. But the yeah, when you see it over and over, you feel more. When a video game protagonist dies many times and it gets to feeling like maybe this player won't be able to proceed, it does feel like, you know his fate is ours. And another thing that it does is it creates such an unfucking believably hostile environment. And in the real world that's a bad thing, but in a video game it doesn't have to be. Like, throughout playing this, I never fucking knew. Like, after a, yeah, I'll verbalize here. After a while, I caught myself thinking, is this thing gonna kill me now? What's gonna kill me next? And then I realized I kind of fucking love that. Like, Jesus, that's the point. That's part of the point. They want me to feel like this is just, yeah. I'm still not giving any spoilers, but I will say this was such an effective distillation of what it feels like to be in a nightmare, that like it's been a while since yeah. I think I'll mention the last game that really made me feel this way later in this video. But shit, I guess I can't mention the last movie that did, because it's a spoiler for that movie. I don't know. If you've been watching a lot of my videos recently, I think you might have an idea of. It wasn't that long ago. It was some months ago, not like years or anything. I actually, I played this over several days. Long-time viewers know my wrists are slightly fucked, so I can't play very long at a time. I know it sounds ridiculous to people whose wrists are not fucked, because this isn't that long of a game. Like, there's going to be people, there already are, who play through this in like one sitting. Like, if you want the exact number, how long to beat, my friend. But I guess I'll just very briefly note, before since the following is technically also about the frustration element. The one of the Steam achievements is to complete the game with, I think it's like 5 deaths or less, or something like that. I have been playing challenging platformers since age 7. I cut my teeth on Commander Keen 4 and the 1989 Prince of Persia, the original Prince of Persia video game. Yeah. I know some people would say, that game's not appropriate for a 7-year-old. Maybe not. But yeah, the first time I played that game, I was 7. What's that you would like to know? How old I was when I first completed it? You know what? I think we're getting off track here. It was a little later, but the yeah, yes, the I don't know that I would ever be able. I could if you cloned me 1,000 times and put me at 1,000 typewriters. I mean, computers, and had me play this for 1,000 years, I might never be able to get to a point where I could get all the way through this with 5 deaths or less. The astute among you will have recognized another exaggeration. But yeah, I'm glad I'm no longer pressuring myself into like, oh, I got a 100% every game I play. No, that's um yeah. Anyway, the yeah. So the frustration and the fact that the hostility was where I was trying to go. Right. Yeah. The yeah. It feels like you're playing through a nightmare. And right, that was yeah. This was yes, as mentioned. I played this over multiple days, and while it's not impossible that it's something else, since I have also recently played watching Alien Earth, which is also very scary. But playing this, I had the first nightmare I've had in months. You know, um, this game you play as a boy. If I had to guess, 9 years old. Let's go with 9 years old. And throughout this game, I felt like they did a very impressive job fitting in just like so many what's the word and without it becoming excessive either, different things that a 9-year-old boy would be scared of. In just the yeah, I'm genuinely so impressed by how well they did at that, and I don't think I want to give away many. I will briefly note, it's like the first thing you run into, so I don't think this is a spoiler, and it's also just to give you an idea of it, and it's not like it gets, you know, there are more significant ones. I'm definitely not spoiling some of the last ones, but I believe the very first one you run into is bear traps, you know, and yeah, like yes, I think yeah, it's one of those things like when you find out about those, you know, yeah, like you get it. It's scary, you know. There are other interpretations that explain the different things, and again, I wholeheartedly recommend reading those after you've played. Or I guess, like, okay, hypothetically, if you decide you're not going to play, but you watch a walkthrough and then you read about it, but please don't, you know, rob yourself of getting to see these things before reading someone pontificate on what the explanation is. But yeah, um, I think that does cover that. So yes, Did I already mention I played this on Steam? I know I mentioned that I read those reviews. That doesn't mean that that's where I played it. I did, I read Steam reviews for Lumberjack. I played that on Epic. Now, the I do also want to note. I don't know how many people actually strongly disliked. I think I only saw one person who was really bothered by the following. But I'll briefly note. The game has a very opaque plot, and the storytelling of it is especially, um, yeah, very, yeah, and I think I've gone back and forth on whether I was gonna even mention the following. I don't. I don't think I'm gonna say the exact. I'll just mention that if you wish to know what is the core concept here, in a non spoiler way, yeah, there's the. I think it is. Is it called the tagline? It's if you look this up on Steam, um, it's the few words that are right under over to the right before you start scrolling down. At the spot where you can also see stills and videos and such. Yeah, there's a few words there. I did not see those words until I was halfway through this game, and I don't know that I necessarily felt like that was a bad thing. That I don't think they give away too much, but I do think that there's something to playing this and not knowing those words, because again, um, you know, my research for doing these games, I don't look at everything, you know. And yes, I know some people would say, well, isn't that the first thing you'd look at? Honestly, it's possible that I did look at it way back. Oh shit! I just realized that completely. I meant to mention. Yeah, I don't even remember. I saw someone write that this was free for a while. I forget if I'm not sure if that's when I got it or if I did get it on sale. I've had this for years. I just only now got around to it. I think it's been years. Anyway, whatever. Um, yeah, the definitely did not spend very much money on it, and it's one of those things I would basically always say try to get it on sale for video games and home media of movies and such. Um, I can understand. This is one of those cases where I can really, really understand. Hypothetically, if I had paid full price for the first Deus Ex, you know what? I'd be like, I've gotten hundreds of hours out of this game. Yeah, it's worth paying that much for. If you got this and it wasn't on sale, yeah, I can understand feeling like there's not enough here. Um, I'm. I think I'm going to talk about the details later in this video, but replayability is not super high for this. It's basically if you want to go back and see things, and there's this, yeah, there's a collectible, um, but that's basically it. I saw someone note, it's barely you could hypothetically speed run it, but it doesn't show in game time. Which, yeah, um, it wouldn't have been impossible for them to add that. as something that you could turn on and off. I definitely don't think it should be always on for this game, that feature. But yeah, I think that does cover the right. Last thing I'll say on plot is there is not much text in this. I don't think I want to give away exactly, but yeah. It also doesn't have a tutorial, nor like many cutscenes. Like there's a little bit of complete, yeah. There's some in-engine stuff, but like usually, like what there is of like storytelling and such, you can control the character in a good chunk of that. And yeah, I definitely think it was very purposeful that it is this. There's the storytelling is handled this way. I saw apparently in interview or something the one of the maybe the I can never remember, is it called the head developer or something, but I think it was the guy in charge, the person at the very very top, who said that some of the interpretations that they read online came scary close to being what they thought it meant. And I think that is very purposeful. Did I mention yet? There's like 6. The word 6 takes too long to say. There's half a dozen different interpretations, some of which preclude one another, of what's going on in this game. And I can't. There might be more, but I want to make the corny joke about half a dozen. I think I love that there is. I can't really say that any one of them has more evidence than the others. Like I would argue it's somewhat reminiscent of like with Dear Esther. I can't really say that can't possibly be the case. I think I found one person who said something that I 100% disagreed with, but yeah. Also, if you go to the 13th link, I feel I should warn. Wikipedia article, 13th link. If you go to the comment section, yes, there's some amazing theories. Do be aware. At times, it briefly sidetracks into annoying bullshit about, like, first someone corrects someone else's grammar, and then other people correct that person's grammar, and then yet other people talk about, can we just talk about the game? And thankfully, I would say the vast majority of the thread was just people talking about the fucking game, but there was a little bit of that. And I think that might cover all that there is for the plot. So, the player character here is also something of a cipher. I have so little to say about him. I was thinking I was going to come up with some nickname. Okay. Cypher Diaz. I have almost nothing to say about him. And that, again, is, I think, purposeful. Because very different things have been read into him and his situation. and I won't give away. I'll just say that the way that I'll say on at least one occasion, you do see um, at least one other human being, and I really loved how they handled that aspect. Um, I think that might just about. Let's see. I guess I'll just briefly note this is one of those games that have been highlighted as evidence that games can be art. I don't really feel like going into that. I think Always Bet on Dunk did such an amazing job on that argument. Shit. I think it was specifically a video on Bioshock Infinite. I think if you go to Always Bet on Dunk and find his Bioshock Infinite, I think he only did one video on that game. Yeah, he says everything that I would. So I just wanted to acknowledge, yes, I am aware that this is one of the games that have been mentioned when it came to that argument. And yes, I definitely think, if you want to have a list of games that help make a case for games being art, this belongs on that list. Now, basically, this is in many ways minimalist, and it works so fucking well that I'm not saying every game should be minimalist, but this was very much a case where yes, I wanted to briefly note this game is still sometimes referenced. I forget when exactly the game Dark with a Q came out, but yeah, when that came out, people were saying, "Oh, it's kind of like Limbo," and yeah, they're not wrong. It's somewhat, if you've played Dark with a Q, essentially think that game, but even more minimalist, and yeah, the puzzles here tend to be much less involved, and yeah, I think that pretty well covers it. But yeah, I definitely agree with that comparison. Um, yeah, I think that pretty well. That's obviously also an amazing game. Yeah, I think that pretty well brings us to the and if you remember games that nobody else does, like me, one of the really major things that I was reminded of during this was Heart of Darkness, the video game about Andy, the 10-year-old boy looking for his dog Whiskey. Um, although I'm not saying this has nothing in common with the book, I want to say. Yeah. Basically, this game, minimalism, even the menus are sparse. Uh, the first time you open up the game, and once you've completed at least once, there will be a start new game function. Um, when you're partway through a game, the start new game will be replaced with a continue, and once you get even a little bit into the game, there will be a load. I think are they called scenes, levels? Normally I'd call them levels, but I felt like it was called something else in this game. But anyway, yeah. And there's a bunch. Like I did not sit down and count, but it looked like at least 20. So yeah, you can jump to a lot of individual little places in this game. There's controls, which does not allow you to remap, only look up. And credits and exit. The game. See, there's so many different minimalist aspects. It's hard to know where to start. I think I will. I'll go over the features because actually, yeah, I just mentioned the controls. The 4 directional keys and Catarl. That last one's for interaction. And that's part of how it can get away with not having a tutorial, because unless this is literally the first arrow key game you've ever played, you're pretty quickly gonna understand up means jump unless you're climbing something, in which case in order to jump off the thing you're climbing, you may have to press a directional key that you want to jump in. Yeah, I don't think I even need to explain the rest of it. It's yeah. Please don't make this the first game you ever play that uses the arrow keys. That you're gonna have a bad time. But basically, the interact button will allow you to push, pull, activate. I think that's all I'm gonna. Yeah. Yes, I think I'll. I don't want to give away whether that's everything, but that's that's the thing. In this game, there's only one key for interacting. I'm not saying it's unique. I appreciate. By 2010, we were pretty okay with it. Let's streamline controls. If you if you happen to have both the 99 and the 2010 Alien vs. Predator games, just look at how many keys there are to keep track of in the old one and how few there are in the more recent one. Yeah. And I think it's basically the thing with having the controls so streamlined here is that, and in others as well, basically if you think you can interact with something, do the thing you think you can do to if you look at something and you're like, can I pull that? Go up close to it, pull down Catarl, and pull. Use the arrow key to and I kind of fucking love that. At no point does this tell you, oh, by the way, if you use this key or this combination of keys, you can actually do this thing. Because, like, yeah, you know, and I think I would also just make the case that, like, by and large, they are just logical. Like, as soon as you're okay with, control interact, in whatever, like, it's always context sensitive. Like, you'll never be trying to do one thing and accidentally do another. There's essentially only ever whatever you're dealing with. There's only one thing that interact could do. This is not like, that is sometimes, there are games where that isn't always the case, and those are annoying. But yeah, the yes, once you understand control and up for jump, yeah, you don't really need further. Yeah. So that pretty well brings. Yeah. So this is shown entirely from the side, and you're moving a good deal of the time from left to right. The camera follows you as you do, and let's see. Yeah, I thought they did a fantastic job here of every so often introducing a new gameplay element or environment or the like, because, like, you so quickly understand, like, yeah, you can usually see from looking at something, like, okay, I already mentioned you can pull stuff. You pretty quickly get an idea of what's too big to pull, and just, yeah, like, worst case scenario, you try to pull something and you accidentally trigger a death trap or something. I think I will definitely say, there are. I guess I kind of already covered that. And yeah, like, I think yeah, it is not a spoiler to say. At least one point in this, you will encounter at least one enemy. And I love the enemy design every step of the way. I think they did such a fantastic job on that. Right, I think, was it Innuendo Studios did a video on this game years ago. I watched it back then, and I forgot enough that I didn't feel like that video spoiled this. But yeah, that one was also really excellent. Right, and the enemy AI, great job on that. So yeah, this game is 100% linear, and essentially there are no two ways to play it. It's not even one of those cases where, well, maybe you could, like, I don't know, be moving significantly faster. I mean, your default speed is already run, which I also really appreciate. I'm glad that they didn't make you walk slowly in this. The atmosphere is so goddamn oppressive, and I mean, I saw at least one person say depressive, which, I mean, I'm pretty sure that person was, like, exaggerating. I hope nobody that's if you think this game would be um, might worsen your emotional state, please don't play it. Personally, I find that media like this helps me uh, not let sadness, um, take over. Um, one of the big parts where this is minimalist and oppressive, and to be clear, I'm not saying those two always go together, is the graphics, because one person said it's not quite 8-bit, but still, and they were also saying it as a compliment. The game feels like it could be, you know, perhaps not that much older, but like it also like it's one of those games where I feel like this probably wouldn't look different if it was made for the first time today. And that's obviously it's such a hypothetical, because like I already mentioned, Dark with a Q took some inspiration from this. I'm not saying it ripped it off. They're significantly different. If you've only played one of these two, I do recommend playing the other as well. But yeah, see, the art style is minimalist. The boy is a shape, pitch black with glowing white eyes, and yeah, it's essentially like it is black and white. For those who don't already know, and basically, yeah, the light and the darkness are constant fixtures here, and when you see the light, yes, Jesus tap dancing Christ, you will see the light. And when there's very little light, you're really gonna wish there was more. And it enables them to show things that you just, if it tried to be more photorealistic, it just wouldn't work for what they do with it. And that's something that I consider vague enough that you're not going to know exactly what I mean by that, but also, if you know, you know. But yes, I think that covers that aspect. So the other thing I'll say is they do this wonderful thing where, in order to add depth, there is stuff in the background that is so far away that, yeah, like some of the places you move through, not all of them, but some of them feel enormous, like never ending, essentially. And yeah, like the what's the word? You start in this small area of a forest, and there are trees in the very distant background, and as you move, they move. Thing I love, when, because that's something you can do now. We have the technology, and it didn't even cost 6 million. Wow. Back then that sounded like so much, didn't it? And now it's like, I don't know, the American federal budget is so fucking out of control that it sounds like absolutely nothing. Meanwhile, there's people who have basically literally nothing, even though they work. Uh, and I'm so far left, I don't even think you should have to work. Like, if ideally, as many people as want to and are able work, but moving on. Tax the rich, cut the bloated military budget, and yeah, that's how to get money for it. Yes, the trees in the distant background move as you move, or rather, yeah. Obviously, the illusion is that they don't move. It's just your perspective shifts to make it appear that they move. But yeah, it really makes, that's one place where this is very far away from, like, you know the really the earliest of these platformers. I mean, I've mentioned before. I'm pretty sure at least part of the idea behind Prince of Persia, some of that game takes place in a prison, and that might be because all you need are walls. You don't need, like, you know, they're not gonna, like, decorate it a lot. Um, but yeah, another thing that's wonderful about the way this game handles the graphics. Hypothetically, let's say they tried to make it as close to photorealistic as they could. Today, it wouldn't look super good, and it might not run well. And yeah, this has been compared to, like, film noir, in part because of the stark lighting and the what's the word? Uh, Shit. What's the word again? Film grain, I think, is the the sound design. God damn. Some of the things in this game that are meant to scare you and be threatening do so very well, in part because of the sound design. And keep in mind, like, in this game, if something seems scary and threatening, it probably is. It's probably going to fucking murder you if you're not careful. So they didn't have, like, if this game was silent, you would still be terrified of it. Um, but no, they went the extra mile. God damn. And yeah, I mean, I already mentioned, one of the first things you run into are these bear traps. Even if you, like, if you do actually not accidentally get yourself killed on one of them, um, do yourself a favor and still run into one of them. Because that noise, like, Jesus Christ, that sounded like it fucking hurt. And the music, god damn, incredibly oppressive, and just, yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure if you're, it is the soundtrack of, like, it's the music you hear if you live in an authoritarian dictatorship. Um, I'm pretty sure. I don't have the experience myself. Any Americans want to drop a comment down below? Let me know. It's I don't know. I feel like the U.S. situation right now, it's one of those you're either going to laugh or you're going to cry situations, and I'm trying to choose laughter and hopefully provoke fence sitters out of complacency. I think I've already mentioned how challenging it is. I will definitely also say it is very satisfying to complete puzzles. Let's see. I mentioned one of the achievements, other than the yeah. Actually, yeah, I'll just briefly run through. There's one for just completing the fucking game, and I think it is called something about like perseverance is key or something like that. Which, yeah, if any game needs to reward the player just for completing the game with like something they can show others, I think it might be fucking this one. But yeah, there's one for if you die 5 times or less, and then I think the rest of them are for finding these, like, I forget what they're even. I saw somewhere what they were called, orbs. Let's go with that. Every so often you'll see an orb, um, and sometimes you just see a thing you can fuck around with, and you'll find an orb. Um, right, and apparently, if you find all the orbs, there's an additional level, which is also really tough. I'm sorry, I'm not sorry that I didn't find all the orbs. Then I was okay with just what there was here. Yeah, did not run into bugs or glitches. And let's see. Yeah, this game has really strong environmental storytelling. Um, yeah, I can't really expand on that without spoiling anything, but I will just say they did a really, really solid job on that aspect. When it comes to the puzzles, I thought they did a really, really great job. Excuse me. Um, Providing sufficient variation and variety. I never felt like I was just stuck with the same types of puzzles for too long in a row. It never felt like, how sometimes you'll be playing a game and you're like, pretty sure one of the developers just fucking fell in love with a feature here. Never happened here. Um, and also, like, I know I'm not claiming that this is how everybody feels, but I did feel like each overall puzzle variation stayed around for just long enough. Um, I saw one person say they didn't feel that was the case because before you have a chance to become accustomed to how something works in this game, you're on to the next thing. And that's, I refer you to the start of the video. I'm going to reiterate briefly. I think that is purposeful. I don't think we're supposed to get to a point where we feel like, oh, I know how this works. Not too much, at least. Like, I thought it did enough of that. Um, but yeah, I did see at least one. I think this was a professional critic say that there were times where it felt, I guess, essentially like aimless. There's Let's see. I think the way they worded it was that they didn't feel like there was enough evidence that the developers knew where they were going. I think that was the exact yeah. And I understand where they're coming from. I think they are expecting something from the game that it's not meant to do or be. And again, I 100% understand. If you wish that it were like that, yeah, I understand being frustrated, especially if nobody told you that it wasn't going to be like that. Especially if you bought this on at full price. Um, yeah, I think that might just about However, yeah, as far as the puzzle design, I really appreciate there were curveballs thrown here. Um, yeah, I think I'll just briefly note. So basically, there are some where it is genuinely just jumping puzzle where it's timing and maybe figuring out exactly where to jump from and to, and getting enough speed. And keep in mind, this is a very linear game, so a lot of the time it's going to be very clear where to jump from and to. Um, yeah, timing is often crucial. There are some physics-based puzzles, and like essentially you can brute force, and since there are so generous checkpoint saves, you're not going to have to replay much in order to do so. I do recommend trying to figure out. Just don't feel bad if you never figure out before dying at least once on each dangerous, at least the first time you encounter it. Uh, yeah. I think as far as how challenging it is goes, I think this is one of those games where the fact that like some people maybe felt like the game hates them personally and wants to fuck them up. And I think what is the case is that the game reflects that there is at least one living thing in the game that has those properties. Yeah, I think I'll just briefly note. So, some of you already know, I myself am Scandinavian. I swear I am not just like praising this. I meant to say this earlier in this video, but then I forgot all about it. But yeah, I would have praised this no matter where it came from, you know. But I don't know. I do think we Scandinavians are really good at the Scandinavians who make media. I'm not taking personal credit for it. Shit. Um, yeah, I think Scandinavian countries have a number of citizens who are tremendous at yeah. I saw one person say, well, long winter nights. I think that's accurate. Other games that do this incredibly well are the games of developed by frictional games. So Penumbra, and if you don't want to be a hipster about it, Amnesia. Still need to play the last two of those games. I do own copies. I'll get to them eventually, but right now I don't play that many very long games. But I do, yes, 100%. I'm gonna get to them. Yes, I think that might just echo. But yeah, I do think, and that's maybe also where some people who are not from Scandinavia, I'm not saying you're not allowed to love. You're not allowed. Wait, I'm not saying. There's too many negatives in the sentence. To be clear, I 100% do think you are allowed to hate this game. You can think this is the worst thing that like in the history of mankind. This game is the worst thing ever made. I mean, I like to think you'd place a couple of things above it, but there's a Danish phrase translates roughly to exaggeration breeds understanding. But I do think this might be So to be clear, the following, I'm not saying that people who are not from Scandinavia just don't understand it, or that, like, that it's a bad thing that they're, like, obviously, like, hypothetically, if most people thought this was terrible, I would accept that. Um, there are some pieces of media like this that are pretty terrible. I am absolutely not someone who thinks that everything like this is automatically good. Um, but I do think that um, it is something that resonates with a lot of Scandinavians, and it might not resonate as much with people of other parts of the world. Um, and that's not, you know, that doesn't mean they're like wrong or something. Uh, I'll just briefly note the Steam videos and stills don't spoil too much. Like, overall, I think it'd be good to go into it without looking too much at that stuff. But I understand if you really badly want to, and think I think some of them look like they're spoiling way too much. Ultimately, I would say they definitely made sure to hide the very, like, there's some incredible stuff that is not visible in those. Yeah, I think that just leaves us to the rating. Uh, and I'll briefly note, if you want to see where this ranks in general, every single video game that I have played to completion, I have ranked in a list in a um, Google Doc that is um, publicly available, and the link is in the description box. That's what that thing's called. Yeah. Um, I rate this 10 horrifying, nightmarish threats that come right out of the imagination of 9-year-old Cypher Diaz of 10.